I inspire a person today.
Mic check.
Is it working? Oh, there it is. Good morning, everyone. We are going to call this meeting to order. Meeting of the Board of Hamilton County Commissioners, June 26, 2025. We've got a lot on our agenda this morning, and so we are going to get right to it. But before we do that, we always start our meetings with silent prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance. So please join us in silent prayer. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's do introductions from the dais.
Christy Rischel, Assistant Clerk.
Leslie Harvey, Clerk to the Board.
Stephanie Summerall Dumas, Commissioner.
Hamilton County Commissioner Alicia Reese.
Jeff Aludo, County Administrator.
Ann Schooley, Assistant Prosecuting Attorney.
I'm County Commissioner Denise Driehaus. I'm going to make a motion that we approve of the minutes of the previous session.
Second.
Commissioner Driehaus.
Yes.
Commissioner Summer Dumas.
Yes.
Commissioner Reese.
Yes.
Thank you. All right, we've got speakers here on a number of different things. I know we've got a public hearing that's scheduled for 1:15, so we'll get to that in a minute. Well, at 10:15. We're not going to be here at 1:15, I hope. Sorry about that. All right, so we're going to get to the speakers' cards first. So I'm going to take these in the order that they were received. So first is Eric Ruffin, and you've got the pleasure of the floor for 2 minutes. And if anybody would like to speak, please fill out a speaker's card, and we'll get to you.
Good morning.
Welcome.
Good morning.
Dear Hamilton County Commissioners, I'm writing to you today regarding issues that happened on February 7th. Despite investigations by Hamilton County and the Village of Evendale, it appears that no corrective measures have been implemented to prevent similar incidents from happening again. To enhance public safety, I am requesting your support considering the following proposals as potential additions to law enforcement policies for any officer operating a vehicle in Hamilton County. 1, the transportation of individuals. A law enforcement officer in a vehicle should not transport any individual unless the following conditions occur with certainty. The individual's name must be known by the officer. The individual has been checked for outstanding warrants or pending violation. The police officer or county officer is certain that the individual entering the vehicle possesses no items that could harm themselves, the officer, or the police vehicle. The relevant jurisdiction outside of Evendale must be informed that an individual is being transported into their vehicle. The second condition that I would love to be met that happened on February 7th, everything that I say happened on February 7th that has been missed in this piece of document. Proximity to a school district. A law enforcement vehicle should not lead or cause an individual or a group to be led within 1,000 feet of a private or public school property as outlined in the Federal Gun-Free School Zones Act. If that individual or group is A, armed, is B, a protester of any kind, has been identified with certainty. If they haven't been identified, you can't lead them to a school district. If the individual has displayed behavior that could be deemed offensive or disrespectful in any way. If the vehicle misuse, officers shall not condone or support the misuse or unsafe transportation of a vehicle except in special circumstances such as parades. Intervention by bullying, threatening behavior. When officers witness bullying or threatening behavior, they should intervene to identify, question, and possibly stop the individuals from approaching others who are not approaching them. All of this happened to me by police officers in Hamilton County, and we are trying to miss it. Evendale spent a lot of money and hired somebody and defined the scope of work for them to investigate them. What do you think happens when that happens? They proved Evendale innocent. This is wrong. These changes have been made, and I'd like these to be entered into the record in Hamilton County for some type of support because this should not be tolerated. Commissioner Reese already said, we are not tolerating hateful people coming into our county doing hateful stuff.
Thank you. Would you please provide that to the clerk? I want to, and the timer is not up there, so folks don't know how much time they have, so yeah, let's do that. Thank you. Thank you for coming in. There was also an email that came to all three of us last night around 4:15, and so I will enter that into the record as well. It's from the Heights Movement on this topic, so I'm going to pass that down. So that's in the record. All right, our next speaker is Casey Dean. Good morning. You've got the pleasure of the floor for 2 minutes.
There's an anti-Klan law that all of you missed or didn't enact when neo-Nazis showed up in Lincoln Heights. You don't need a sign that says, oh, these people are bad. They're showing you with their actions. I've been following neo-Nazis for years about what they want to do to our country, what they want to do to our people. They want to kill us. They want to kill black people. They want to kill gay people and everyone that's not like them. All of you failed when you didn't find anything wrong. How can you let neo-Nazis into our neighborhoods and say, it's fine, they didn't do anything? You let a cop escort a van, a U-Haul full of armed neo-Nazis with AR-15 style rifles loaded to a school, to a frickin' school. And none of you say they didn't do anything wrong? What about this Klan law? As a protester, I can't wear a mask because I might get charged with this anti-Klan law. They tried to do it with Xavier and OSU last year for Palestine protests. How the hell are Palestinian protesters the equivalent to the Klan when you had the actual Klan showing up in force with arms? You're just gonna let them do it? That's it? I want you to look in my freaking eyes and tell me why you did it. Why aren't you taking this as serious as we are? Why did Lincoln Heights have to pull their citizens, to do armed patrols to make sure these Nazis didn't come back? And they did come back several times. They put down Klan flyers, everything else. You had all the proof to be like, hey, this is the Klan. Let's put a law that has been enacted since the 20s against them. But they went off scot-free. Why did police drones come out after they left to surveillance Lincoln Heights community? Why did the taxpayers have to pay for a tow truck to come and get the stupid Nazis' Jeep? You could have just left it. Why did you use our taxes to pay for their mistakes? Why did you protect the neo-Nazis?
Thank you. Our next speaker is Terrence Daniels. Welcome.
A lot of it's already been said, and I really just want to present the opportunity to speak once again for the residents of Lincoln Heights. When first the 21 CP solution a report came out, and then when the prosecutor's report came out, there was a lot of things that were omitted that were clear to the residents they saw. Once again, if you actually saw a crime being committed, Mr. Ruffin was being held by gunpoint in the middle of the street, and it's not in there. We've been talked about, obviously, the U-Haul going to a school zone. Once again, I'm sorry, because I know you all personally. I know how you all, I shouldn't say I know how you all feel. But neo-Nazis feel comfortable coming into this community right now. We wanted to make it hot piece, which we all feel. We know is true. That's the feelings that we want. We won't want them to feel comfortable here. That's not how they feel. They feel like the police will protect them. They feel like that our legislators will then protect the police. They feel like there's already a border there that individuals and communities like Lincoln Heights are not going to have the back of you all. And I know that's not the case. I know that the prosecutor's office does not represent you all. I know Evendale does not represent you all. We've worked together to do some tremendous things over these last 5 years. Here's another opportunity to do something great, to set an example that can go throughout the country of how we deal about hate groups that come into our community. Don't let them stand on the First Amendment. She cannot say that a crime was not committed, that way you cannot do a hate crime. Let's be very clear. There's plenty of evidence that can be submitted still. The residents can still submit this evidence to you all, and we can have a true investigation. We would just like to know next steps, because the community is scared, the community is nervous, and the community is very anxious right now. And we love our community, but it's a tough place to be, especially with Hamilton County Sheriffs protecting us right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Our last speaker on this topic is Deronda Calhoun. Welcome.
Grand Rising. I'm coming to talk about the appeal. We're asking for you all to appeal the report that Evendale has put out, stating that the Nazis did nothing wrong. Just the pure fact that they left the sidewalk and stepped into the street means they committed a crime. There's a sign there with a circle, with a person, with a line going through. That means you are not allowed to have pedestrian traffic in that area. So therefore, as soon as they stepped out into the street and put Mr. Ruffin at gunpoint, pretty much what it was, and that alone said that they committed a crime. So we're asking you all to investigate Evendale's report and appeal it so that we can be able to get justice for our community and also for every person that felt threatened by their presence in Lincoln Heights. I know that we all keep on getting caught up in the freedom of speech, but once we also have a law that talk about hate and hate crimes. And what they provided that day was a hate crime because there was nothing for them to be protesting other than everyone's existence. Thank you.
Thank you. So thank you all for coming in. You're right. We do have, all three of us have a strong relationship with the community of Lincoln Heights. So thank you for providing the written documents. We will review them, follow up on them. We just got them last night and this morning. So, but thank you all for being here. I do appreciate it. I do want to allow or welcome my colleagues' comments before we move on, if you'd like.
Well, I just appreciate the ones who have come out to speak. I know how much you love Lincoln Heights. I also love Lincoln Heights. I don't live in Lincoln Heights, so it is a difference. But for you to fight for where you live, I think is extremely important, and not to let it just die, this issue. So I appreciate it.
Thank you, Commissioner Reese.
Yeah, I just joined with my colleagues. I think I've already expressed my opinion, but I also think it's important because the different governments are how we are set up and what is our limitations. When you're, I've been on city council before. So when I was at Cincinnati City Council, the police chief is hired by the city manager and hired by the mayor and the council. At the same time, they have a solicitor, and they're working. The county is set up a little bit different, and I think for me, I've been trying to think. I think we've maxed out in terms of what we can do. We're not an investigative body. I can't arrest anybody. I can't put any handcuffs on them. I'm not the judge. I can't hit the gavel. Can't put anybody in jail. I'm not at the state legislature anymore. Me and Commission President Driehaus, we were at the state. Maybe we could have tried to introduce a state law, but now we can't. I understand Senator Cecil Thomas is working on that, and maybe, that might be an area. But yeah, just everything that was presented to me, I've turned all those things over. Evendale, we don't control them. I didn't ask them to do an investigation. They came here and said they were going to. That's their jurisdiction. Municipality, I know that the county sheriffs are there, but there was a time when Lincoln Heights had a police department. I was on a state rep, I'm not sure, I think Commissioner Dumas, I'm not sure if that was the time when you were there too, but that was a tough time in terms of not having your own police department and fire department and those kind of things. So local government, county government, state government, all has its barriers, but any type of state law would have to be done at the state level. And I think, Senator, when I was at the meeting, the town hall that you guys had, he had mentioned that he was working on something. I don't know what that is. So that's kind of where I am. I'm, a little bit frustrated as well, but there are limited powers based on how governments are set up. And I think we have tried to do the best that we could to give all the information that you gave us. And I think we were pretty strong about those positions. So. But again, these, like you said, the state laws and other things definitely have to be looked into. And I'm real personal about it as well, because after speaking out, someone visited my house, and it was a little rough. So anyway, again, thank you for coming down. Thanks for keeping this going, and I'm anxious. I don't know, President Driehaus, I know you go up to the state a lot. Maybe we can find out where that Senator Thomas' bill is, and maybe that's something we can
Well,
support.
maybe that's a collective conversation, so happy to do that.
Yeah,
okay.
something we can all support possibly.
Okay, thank you, appreciate it. All right, we've got one more speaker before we get to the public hearing. This one is related to the Bengals Stadium. So Matthew Robinson is here. Come on up. You've got the pleasure of the floor for 2 minutes.
Yeah, thank you guys for letting me come out today and speak about the stadium. I understand today's a very important day for the regarding the stadium and you guys' negotiations with the Bengals. And I worked for the Cincinnati Bengals Pro Shop for 2 years, from 2022 to 2024. And I just wanted to talk a little bit about some of the experience I had. And I feel like, the fans are very passionate about the team. And, we hope you guys get a deal done. And, when the Super Bowl happened, it was a very good experience and where there was a peak enthusiasm about the team. And I just feel like, I understand city government's changed from 30 years ago from now, and it's still the same ownership with the Bengals and how they negotiate. But, I think you guys can come to a compromise. I understand that there's certain issues that you guys want to address as far as making sure that the taxpayers are able to benefit this time around compared to the last time. And, and I just feel like you guys have done a pretty good job of addressing this issue as far as you guys can do with what resources you guys had and, current times, different change. But, that's all I pretty much wanted to say today. And we appreciate your efforts. I understand it's hard. Contract negotiations are very hard with the Bengals, but they try to put from the organization, the people I've met there. They try to have their own interests and also other people's interests as well. But it's just business. So, I appreciate you guys' time. Thank you.
Thank you for coming in. Like your swag, evidently that's from the Post Shop, so looking good. More to come on that topic today. All right, we've got a public hearing that will start now. It was supposed to start at 10:15. This is planning and development. So here we go. Brian Snyder is here to walk us through this.
Yes, good morning, Brian Snyder, Hamilton County Planning and Development. We have a zone change in Green Township before you today. We have a PowerPoint presentation for this just to show you some slides of where this is. This property is located on Harrison Avenue in Green Township. It's a couple acres. It's currently a retail strip center with a couple offices, a couple retail uses. It's currently zoned office. This office designation allows retail uses up to a certain percentage of coverage on the site. They would like to exceed that coverage so that they can have some more parking. So they are requesting a zone change from office zoning to retail zoning. This is really more of a formality. The Green Township Land Use Plan calls for retail on this property, so they've been planning for this change for a long time. The zone changes in the state of Ohio are required to go through a pretty specific process. I'll get to that shortly. There's a couple of pictures on the slides of what the property looks like currently. And then this is the site plan for it. It looks very much like the current property. But the process in the state of Ohio for zone changes requires a set number of hearings. The first hearing that we require outside of state law is an informal meeting with the neighbors. That has to happen before you're allowed to apply for a zone change in Hamilton County. We held that meeting. Nobody showed up from, there are no neighbors that showed up for that hearing. We then proceeded through the official zone change process, which requires hearings with the Hamilton County Regional Planning Commission and the Hamilton County Rural Zoning Commission. Both of those bodies recommended unanimously for approval. There were no residents that participated in either one of those hearings. We've received no correspondence from any neighbors or residents for this case. We did receive correspondence from the Green Township trustees indicating their unanimous support for the zone change. And honestly, we've had no issues as it's gone through the entire zone change process. So this is before you today with a recommendation of approval from staff, from the Regional Planning Commission, from the Rural Zoning Commission, and from the Green Township trustees. I'd be happy to answer any
Yeah,
questions.
thank you for that explanation. I have one question. So, and I'm sorry if I missed it. Did you say that they're converting the parcel of property into parking?
No, they've already got a retail use on the property with parking. They're just expanding the parking.
So,
So
yes,
they're-
okay, so they're expanding the parking, and so my question then is, I noted on that slide that there was a retention basin towards what looked like the north of the property. Have accommodations been made for the increase in the impervious surface?
They will have to work that process or those calculations through with the Hamilton County Stormwater and Development Division of Planning and Development when they get their approvals and their permits for building the expansion.
Okay. All right, thank you. Commissioner Summer Dumas?
Thank you for your presentation. What method did you use to notify the people, the residents who are surrounding that area?
Sure. So the informal meeting that I mentioned before, you're allowed to apply for a zone change. We send out notices to every property owner within 200 feet of the boundary of the property. It's 200 feet more than we're required to. Honestly, the state law requires us to send notice only to the neighboring properties. But historically, the county has always sent notice to additional properties. So we sent notices of that meeting to everybody within 200 feet. We also sent notices of the Hamilton County Rural Zoning Commission public hearing to everybody within 200 feet of the property. And then I believe the Green Township trustees do publicize their trustees meetings when they consider the zone changes for their recommendation.
How many homeowners are we talking about?
This is, I don't know if you could bring the PowerPoint back up. There is a city map. This is surrounded by Diamond Oaks Academy. So there are protected woodlands to the north and to the west. To the south is a billboard and car lot. And then across the street is a hotel.
So who are the homeowners involved?
There aren't any. That's why we've
You
received
said-
no.
Yeah, that's why, okay,
Sorry. I meant property owners. My apologies.
all right. That's all I have, thanks.
Thank you. Commissioner Reese?
No additional questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, tell us what our next steps are.
If you're inclined to approve the development, you would close the public hearing, take a motion to close the public hearing and vote to close the public hearing and request a resolution from us, which we will prepare today and place on the agenda for 2 weeks from today.
Okay. All right, if there are no further questions, I'm going to make the motion to close the public hearing.
Second,
Commissioner Dreehouse?
Yes.
Commissioner Summer Dumas?
yes.
Commissioner Reese?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. We've got one other item that I know of that we've got some members of the public here for, and it's the Inspire program item. So, Commissioner, why don't we bump that one up before we get into the meat of the agenda?
Okay. Thank you, I appreciate it. My colleagues allow me to do this. We have an Inspire initiative and we try to recognize once a month those who have been recipients of our $5,000 award. Alice Bledsoe, she coordinates the whole program, and Robert Bell is also responsible for that. So I'll just let you speak, and then we have someone else who's the coordinator of it can speak for sure. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, commissioners. Today we have Arts Equity Collective, and we have Mo Poetry, who works with the youth. And I'll let her speak.
Okay, great. Welcome.
Welcome.
Hello, thank you for having me. I just really want to take the time to thank the Commissioner's Office and the Hamilton County Economic Inclusion Grant. We have been trying forever to get into the Cincinnati Public Library. Through this grant, we're able to offer 62-hour sessions. We're going to be at the Walnut Hills, Westwood, and Price Hill branches. And I would just like to encourage, this will reach at least a minimum of 1,000 students. There's so much in the atmosphere today, and believe that our children also are impacted by what is going on in the city. And as a leader and as an advocate and an activist, please just continue to funnel funds that through. Our team has over 300 years in education. 80% of us are trauma-informed certified. And this is what's needed in this time for adults as well as children. So I want to thank you again.
Thank you so much. Did you want to say anything about your program objectives or?
Yes. So our objectives, of course, since I am a poet, it's very heavy on it's Voices Unleashed. So we work with students with their creative writing. We also prepare for ELA 2 readiness, or previously the Ohio proficiency. So we are all about just literacy, expression. There's even self-defense is a part of this. So we have someone that is certified, and I left some information for you as well. But it is a well thought out plan so that visual arts, spoken word are going to be used as the main modes. And I also dropped off some information about our SOS Empowerment Arts and Healing that is funded by Arts Wave and others. We are doing what we can to get into the school systems and to support our teachers who have been working so hard during this environment.
Great.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
We're not done.
Okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank you for the work that you're doing in the
Thank you.
community, and I'm especially excited about the partnership with the libraries. The library is such a great partner, and they are renovating many facilities throughout the county. I actually just took a tour yesterday of the main library, and they're fantastic partners, but not everybody recognizes that, and I'm so glad that you do, and that you're utilizing their facilities, because I really think they're top-notch. So.
I appreciate it. We've tried at least 4 times submitting proposals over the years to get in there, and I never even get a call back. So this is major for our team. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Commissioner Reese?
Yeah, thank you. And I just want to also echo that about the library. We've got some very neat facilities, and they've always been a good partner with us with our 513 relief bus. And hopefully when we do our youth day, we can have you included. I know some of Alice usually includes some of the folks from the Inspire program when we do our youth day with it. So I just want to say this is great. I was looking at this. It's really cool.
Thank you.
This is great. So thank you. Thank you, Alice, and thank you, Commissioner Dumas, for bringing her forward. Thank you.
Thank you, and certainly you talk about the library, but we used to say reading is fundamental, and I was thinking about Lincoln Heights, actually. They're one of the few places that don't have a library. We have to get a library in there, and
We
that
do.
might be one of the last things that I do or try to do with the board or whoever's here, because you have to have one. You may have a little one in the school, but that doesn't qualify for a library. So I'll be talking to some public libraries
Lease.
about that. So we're going to take a picture. Usually we forget to take one, and we'd like to thank you for all that information you sent us too. Thank you, Madam President.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner Dumas, for presenting the Inspire program. It's always good to mix that into the meeting. It's good stuff. I stand corrected. We do have one other thing. The clerk of courts is here. He's going to talk about the Project 250. And so he is asked to move forward on the agenda. And with your deference, commissioners, I'm going to do that and have Pavan Parikh present his update on Project 250.
All right, it's still morning, right? Good morning, everyone. It's been a long morning already. I'm so glad so many members of the press are here to talk about America 250. We are here today to present our recommendation for the full committee. We came to you all about a year ago to start this process, and you named myself and Elizabeth Pierce, the CEO of the Museum Center, co-chairs of this committee. And we wanted to build a committee that is representative of our entire community, that is representative across the community, both geographically, by industry, racially, ethnically, and every way that we can, to have a committee that can help tell the stories of Hamilton County as we celebrate the 250th anniversary of the founding of our nation next year. And we received 29 applications to join the Hamilton County Committee, and we are proposing this list of 19 applicants to be appointed as the voting members of the committee. We worked with numerous community organizations to try to get the word out. We had pieces on WVXU. We wrote an op-ed with the Inquirer. We went through nonprofits and community newsletters, the Hamilton County DDS e-News. We had a piece in the Herald. We also worked with partners, including the National Underground Railroad Freedom Center and the Holocaust Humanities Center, and specifically those two organizations because their commitment is to telling the stories of our community that aren't the positive stories. And we want to make sure that we are highlighting history, both good and bad, that we understand what our full history is as a community in order to fully learn the lessons from it. Of the 29 who applied, 26 answered a supplemental survey to give us a better sense of their background and what they can contribute to our planning meetings. If someone did not respond, they were automatically excluded. We solicited input from a variety of groups, including the Board of County Commissioners and your staff. We believe this group is inclusive and diverse of, again, the great backgrounds and industries and people and locations throughout our county. What we also had were a lot of government officials, people who represented government entities that were interested in serving on this. And what we struggled with was how do we incorporate them, but also still really focusing on this being a community organization. And we came up with the idea of there will be 19 voting members of this committee. And the people that applied representing other government agencies, we're proposing for them to be added as ex officio members. So they will not have voting rights, but they will be able to help us connect the work that's going on with the committee with the work that is happening in their offices. And they represent organizations like City Council, the Law Library, the Public Library, Great Parks. We wanted to make sure that we could have them engage in this process so we can bridge any potential gaps. And so what you have in front of you is our proposed list of the 19 voting members, and then we also have our ex officio members as well. The goal for this committee is to be a nerve center, to get information in and push information out. We know a lot of smaller municipalities, we know a lot of larger municipalities are already planning large events across all of 2026 to celebrate the 250th anniversary of the founding of our country. What we want to ensure is that we're all working towards a similar goal, which is getting this information out to everybody and assisting in some ways to people when they have an idea and they want to understand what resources might there be out there and who else might be working on something similar. We want to ensure that that information is getting everywhere it needs to go. One of the first things that we know that we have to work on that the state organization has told us is that we got to plan a picnic. We got to plan a big picnic for 2026. So there is some guidance that's already coming down from the national organization and the state organization where there may or may not be even grant funding opportunities through the national or state organizations that we can partner with to really publicize the great history of what we have in Hamilton County. We plan to have a public calendar that will be listed on the Hamilton County website, so all members of our community will know what's going on. And the other goal is really to just get together and figure out what our goals really are. How do we want to move forward to get this information out, to really plan events both big and small for our entire community? What you have up here are the themes that have already been decided upon for how Ohio is going to celebrate America 250 in 2026. And this kind of represents our first blush list of, okay, we know that in January we want to focus on Ohio's first. We know that in September we're going to focus on sports and recreation. So this gives us a little bit more structure as to how we want to plan events, what we want to look for to highlight in particular months. And as organizations are already planning events, to maybe nudge them and, hey, this is a big sports event, see if you can do it maybe in September. If this is about the film industry, let's look for the month that we focus on film and arts and culture. If it's involved veterans, let's look for November. We want to make sure that we are focusing the efforts so that way we can help push these themes out to the rest of our community. We also don't want to ignore what we already have as far as affinity months. February's Black History Month, March is Women's History Month. We also want to use those structures already in place to work with the work that we're doing and encourage people not just to focus on only these months that are listed, but the other recognitions we have throughout the year to focus our activities around that. So the big first opportunity is the July 4th, which will be the big national celebration of America 250. And we want to ensure that we spread this out throughout the entire year. Like I said before, this is not just for a party. We want to acknowledge history, both good and bad, of our communities. And we are really excited to be able to lead this effort. We, as soon as you all hopefully approve this resolution, we will get with all the members of the committee, get a meeting on the books, and start working towards planning already 6 months in advance of next year starting. So we want to be sure that we can hit the ground running, and just thank you for all of your support, and would love to answer any questions.
Any questions, commissioners? I do want to thank you for all your work on this, yourself and Elizabeth Pierce. That committee looks fantastic. I'm glad you're moving that forward, and you got the ex officios. I think it's really important to stay connected to all the major organizations in the county. So thank you for your foresight on that. So really appreciate the update. Commissioner Sobera-Dumas?
Thank you for all your hard work. Certainly appreciate it. I looked at the numbers for the voting members, and it was, as you say, very impressive. I asked about the non-voting members. You've already put in those who are not going to be able to vote. They will be ex officio. And just being culturally sensitive, you were saying a big picnic, and you might want to look that up historically. It's a little offensive to some cultures to say picnic, so you might just want to say a huge celebration. So I see your eyes are like, so I can talk to you later about it. Yeah, okay.
Thank you. Commissioner Reese?
Thank you. Thank you for the presentation. Thank you, Commissioner Dumas. I was getting ready to hit that, hit that item, picnic. And then hopefully, I don't know all the people that's on here. You vetted them and those kind of things. And, I think it's important to have a celebration, but we've got to also think about realization. 250 years has not been a crystal ball for all cultures here. And we have to, I think, make sure that that is included. I don't want to be celebrating and we're in a time where people are losing everything. So we want to just be sensitive to the history, and I know you are. But I'm putting that in now. I don't want to have to go through 13 votes to get there. My concern is that I don't want to have this big cake and punch and everybody is, Medicaid's getting cut and grandma's losing Medicare and somebody's losing their house. And, we got to be sensitive to that if we're talking about the whole story, as you've indicated. And then the whole story of folks that came here looking for freedom. I'd like to see the 250, I'd like to see a placard go up on the Ohio banks for Bucktown. I'm putting that in now. I don't want to have to get 13 votes. Bucktown is a place where the slaves lived on the Ohio River when they somehow miraculously was able to swim across from Kentucky to Ohio without any swim lessons. Some died, but a lot of them survived. I wouldn't even be here if none of them survived. They lived on the Ohio banks, which is across from the Cincinnati Black Music Walk of Fame new location. And they lived there because it was the floodplain. It was bad land. But somehow we figured out how to put the garages on the floodplain, and now we have stadiums and restaurants and those kind of things. So it's now one of the most valuable pieces of land. But they got ran out of here, and there was a thing called black laws that were done by the state of Ohio that ran them out of here and ran them to the West End. That should be included. And then the West End, they got ran out the West End. My grandmother lived in the West End, 1082 Lynn Street. I think all that needs to be incorporated. But the thing I would like to leave behind, and I've been hearing from so many people, there's no evidence that Bucktown ever existed. And maybe that's something when we do those historical markers could be something tangible that comes out of the 250. Not the only thing, because we got stuff all over. But I think that should be coming out of there tangibly as part of, because you can't have the freedom story without them getting across. And that was a valuable piece of land, and they did try to build some little housing and they tried to have little businesses, but they were run out by the state of Ohio black laws. So just wanted to put that on the table for my colleagues too. I'd like to see us make sure that we have some type of remembrance and placard of that coming out of here. My other question is funding. Is this state fund? How does this work? Would you have funds to do stuff, or are you more?
So it really should be at effectively zero cost or minimal cost to at least operate the committee.
Okay.
There may be potential for funding opportunities that come from the state committee, but the way to access those would be through the local committee. So as we learn more about funding opportunities coming from the state committee, I think that's some of the work that we will do with this group of people and say, now reach back out to the people that you all are talking to in your communities to figure out what can we apply for. If we as Hamilton County decide we want to do something collectively, then I think we might come to you for some funding for something. But I think that is a conversation that you all would have with us of we want to plan something, and that we would start that conversation. But I think right now the goal is to shine a light on activities that are already being planned in local communities and ensure that there is a central point of information to get that information out to the public, and to ensure that we are highlighting all the communities so it's not just coming from one segment of our county.
Gotcha. Well, I think this is important to have a committee to my colleagues, because I did see on one of the news channels the state coming down to Cincinnati, and they had a big announcement about movies, and it's going to be in all these theaters around the state and everything. And I just think it's important that they're checking in and coordinating with our folks down here when they come to this area, so we're not just finding out about it and what's happening in our area by just
agreed.
press release that
And
they
quite
see.
frankly, selfishly, Cincinnati has had so much of an impact on this state, and I don't think we get the credit that we deserve.
Right.
So we're looking forward to sharing those stories with the state committee so they understand just how vital Cincinnati and Hamilton County has been to the entire history of Ohio.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I have one other comment. I think I heard you say you may have to come to us for funding, and I'm just wondering why the state didn't give like an allotment. They're the ones who wanted this to happen.
Well, and that's it. So anything that we do through this committee as currently structured, we would be looking primarily to grant funding from the state. If this committee were to propose something in addition to what's already happening, I think that should the commissioners or other agencies in county government want to do something and want to integrate into this committee, the work the committee is doing, then I think that would have to be the conversation. But that is not the primary goal of this at all. But should county government decide we want to do something, I think we would be able to leverage this committee to then also try to go with whatever resources we put up to also try to go to the state for grant funding as well.
Because I thought your schedule was very impressive of all the things you want to do monthly. And do you have any idea of what the state is thinking that they may be able to give if you ask?
It's been kind of a rolling thing that they roll out, hey, we're going to have a grant potentially available for these type of events. And so I think our primary goal is to keep an eye on that, so that way, and use the structure of this committee to then, when we get that information from the state, push that out throughout Hamilton County. Say, hey, we've heard this is an opportunity coming forward. Does anybody have something that might be eligible for us to collectively go and apply for?
Okay, thank you so much for all your hard work. Just in general, I mean, everything you do is, I was going to say, I'm not a part of a fan club, but I can see you everywhere. And so I just thank you for your commitment to Hamilton County.
Thank you for coming in. Appreciate
Thank you so much.
All right, let's get back to the agenda then. We're going to move into comments and motions of the commissioners. Commissioner Summer-Dumas.
Okay, we're flipping this around. So just a few comments. I was involved in a webinar, Building Trust Framework for Responsible AI, and NACO was responsible for that webinar. Very interesting, very informative. And then I also participated in the Hamilton County Land Redevelopment, the land revitalization. Yeah, I'm looking for you for help. Last night, looking at the port and what they're doing, what properties they're buying, and how to just upgrade affordable housing in our area. So I participated in that. Now I'm wondering, I have comments as it relates to what Jeff is probably going to talk about. Would you like for me to hold that?
Yeah, we're going to roll through our comments
Okay.
and then get to the buy leave item that you're referring to.
Okay.
Yep.
So one other thing, I had an initiative that I really brought forth in 2023 and really pushed it even further in 2024. And it was the RISE initiative. RISE stands for Reentry into Society and Employment. And I've been working with Trina Jackson, and she's been working very diligently with Marysville Women's Reformatory. And they have a special program up there where when the women come out, they're trained in, I don't know if James is here, what the correct name is for, not electrical, but construction. And what else, James? James has been a proponent for this. You didn't know you were speaking, but the bottom, and what are they trained for specifically?
So they go through, again, James Noyes, planning and development. We were fortunate last year, Trina and myself and Mike Stalin, the building official, to visit with the Marysville Correctional Institute. And they have a program up there which trains the women that are incarcerated through a skills training for construction. So footings and building blocks and electrical. Insulation. So they go through the full gamut. And so I saw this as a great opportunity for our team when we could have a position, and the women that could come out of that program were very well spoken for. They had found other jobs in Columbus and in that area. And I thought that would be a great opportunity because they come in with the training. And what we needed was somebody in that position, like in a trainee position. And they had that skill and they had the want. And so we had to obviously create the means to do so. So we were very interested in that. But that's the program. So and they come out with a certification from it as well.
Yes, that's what I was going to add. Thank you, James. And I thank you for your openness to allow that to happen. It would be really like a pilot program. And when I talked to Frank Spataro, who's our HR person who's writing up the policy for that to happen, he mentioned that it's not only going to be Marysville. There are about, I don't know, the list had about 12 other facilities where people are being certified in these penal institutions, and they'll come out and they can go lots of places to work. So I'm really excited about that. My colleagues will be hearing more as I move forward in that. So that's all I have.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Reese?
Yes, thank you. Couple things wanted to just highlight real quickly. One, Father's Day, we had a great free celebration for Father's Day at the Cincinnati Black Music Walk of Fame, and diverse fathers and families came down, and they got free photos, and they got some T-shirts. And I want to thank everyone to help make that possible. For us to have that field. Thank you, and all the team that was down there. With everything went smoothly. We still have issues with that security company not being present, so we've got to work on that. But it was very positive, and I want to thank national recording artist, entertainer Big Rob, that was also there with some T-shirts and fans, and just a great, fun event for fathers. And it was great. We even had, it was just so touching. One lady brought her father in a wheelchair. So when people ask, is it accessible? It definitely is. He came down and he took pictures and he sang songs, and it was just great to see the different ages and generations of fathers. So that was great. And encourage people to still go down there, where our goal is 250,000 by July 26th. We're 30 days from the Cincinnati Black Music Walk of Fame induction ceremony and celebration. And this year we're honoring the late jazz great Nancy Wilson, the gospel music icon Dottie Peoples, the funk masters, Ohio Players, and the Rock and Roll Hall of Famers, the mighty OJs. And there'll be special presentations and special performances by Regina Bell, national recording artist Regina Bell, and a great line dance celebration at the end with fans, with Big Rob, Mr. Southern Soul, and friends. So that's all free. And people ask me, are we wearing, yes, we're wearing white again. So come on out. And if you want to put some cowboy boots and a hat with it, that'd be great too. It's going to be a lot of fun. But we are 30 days out, and that event is absolutely free. Also, Juneteenth was there to celebrate that with Commissioner Dumas and Commissioner Driehaus and the flag raising. And I thought that was great. And Commissioner Dumas, thanks for bringing the youth for that. I thought that was really good. So I was there for that. I want to thank the library. We now have, we had a residency of our original stars at the airport. I want to thank the airport, former CEO Candace McGraw in the airport. And now we have a permanent exhibit at the library, the main library downtown. We had the unveiling and it was packed. They have limited edition posters, and we had autograph signings, and the YOLO band performed. It's kind of like a pre-Juneteenth celebration. And you could go to the main library right now, and though it has a permanent library exhibit, and I think we're the only ones in the country that has something like this. So I want to thank Paula and her entire team at the library. And I want to thank my team as well to help putting those together. So I want to thank Veda Stevens and Jackie Taggart Boyd, Romaine Jones. I want to thank Miss Aziza, Al Chang. And so we want to thank everybody that helped put it together. So, and we did have our Graders cake. So yeah,
Of course.
I was looking at your pictures.
uh-huh.
And the second row all the way to the right. The man
Which
standing
one?
up there looks familiar. That's not who I think it is.
To the right, standing up there. That's the YOLO band. No, it's not who you think it is. That's not him. It's lookalike.
Yeah, okay.
I feel like I'm missing out on
That's the
something here.
YOLO band.
Mr. President.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, I thought maybe she had invited him.
No. So anyways, that, and want to thank Shirley Murdoch. It was her 37th anniversary. Her and her husband, Dale. Her husband is the music director for ZAP, who's also in the Cincinnati Black Music Walk of Fame, and she is also in the Cincinnati Black Music Walk of Fame. So it was great. I think I made sure I named everybody that helped out. Veda, if I didn't, give it to me, and I'll make sure they get acknowledged because they all volunteered, and I thank them for it. And it was great. So you could go there anytime to the main library on the second floor, and you can see all of the artifacts, and they just did a fantastic job. It was just awesome. Also, on Juneteenth, so I normally always do join the Urban League for their Juneteenth celebration. I want to give a shout out to Christy Coons, the CEO. They did a fantastic job in Avondale, and it was just a great, another great event of bringing the community together. So want to thank them for that. I also served on a panel. Want to thank the Abercrombie group. They put on, Claudia Abercrombie puts on a health equity panel discussion. But I want to thank UC Health. They had their panel and asked me to join them to talk about the 513 relief bus, and with a number of other panelists and doctors who were on there. And this think tank was amazing. And there was just a lot of great feedback on the 513 relief bus and people seeing it and what we've been able to do to bridge that gap on health inequities throughout the county. So that was just great. That was at the Hard Rock Casino. And then I think we mentioned this already. We did do the ribbon cutting ceremony, myself and Commissioner Dumas on California Avenue for the Brunch Deluxe in Bond Hill. And I went back there and did, because I couldn't get any food when I cut the ribbon. I said, I'll be back. So I did get a chance to go back and celebrate pre-Father's Day weekend with my dad and others to eat there, and it was great. So hope people go there. 513 Relief Bus, we have a major marquee event coming up. It's going to be this Saturday. Join us for Tots for Teens, Family Health Day. And it's going to be on Saturday, this Saturday, June 28th, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. We'll be on the lot of Corinthian Baptist Church. This is one of the special 513 events that we host, and this time we're hosting in partnership with Fifth Third Bank's eBus. the Cincinnati Hamilton County Public Library, Lighthouse Youth Services, Healthy Moms and Babies, the Cincinnati Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired, and the Cincinnati Office of Family Voice, Mercy Health, Stand Up Wireless, and many more. But this is Moms Come Talk About How Do We Keep Our Babies Safe, and they've got a lot of great giveaways. So that's what I have. Thank you.
I do have a couple of things also. So I attended the Braver Together event, which was over at Memorial Hall, sponsored by the Commission on Women and Girls, the Matriots, and Represent Women. They had a nice crowd to talk about how women can get more engaged in the political process, whether it's as an elected official or someone behind the scenes. It was a great event, and just encouraging women to continue to express themselves in the community. So thank you to all of them for putting that together. I also had an HCRC meeting. So this was the steering committee of the Hamilton County Addiction Response Coalition. Announced to them this 40%. $40 million is coming down from the foundation, but we also have the direct allocation to think through and how those dollars get allocated. And so the group is doing a survey of the membership. There are over 1,000 members of the HCRC organization. And so we're going to put a survey out and see what the community thinks we should spend the money on as we get some dollars from those settlements. So I'm looking forward to seeing the results of that. Megan Gosney and Abby Fritsch are handling that. I went on a library tour yesterday, as I mentioned, thanks to Paula and her team. I did see the stars. They're very, very prominently displayed. They're very, very nice. But it was a reminder of all the work that the libraries are doing, not only to the facilities themselves, the capital repairs, but they're creating a more welcoming atmosphere, and the library was packed on all levels, all ages, all kinds of folks were in there. And so congratulations to them to holding true on their promise of really rethinking what a library should be as a community asset and making good on that promise. So I was really, really thrilled to see it. And then lastly, we just had, at 9 o'clock this morning, we had a big celebration about the 10th anniversary of marriage equality. And so Jim Obergefell is here in Cincinnati today. He was the plaintiff for the case. Al Gerhard Stein and Jennifer Branch were the attorneys that took it to the Supreme Court. I was reminded that 10 years ago, we were all standing on the steps of City Hall, bidding Jim farewell and wishing him luck up at the Supreme Court, not knowing how it would go, and he and we prevailed. So we now have marriage equality in the country, and so many people, 600,000 couples have gotten married since that decision. And so it's really a marker in history, and also has allowed individuals to be their authentic selves and to come out in the LGBTQ community. So just wanted to not miss the occasion to celebrate with Jim and others, and thanks to the folks that attended. It was really, we don't always get to celebrate everything, but we celebrated this one. So I really appreciate his attendance there. That's all I have. Commissioner Summer, do you have one more thing?
Just one other thing. I'm sorry I forgot about it, but there will be a grand opening tomorrow out in Forest Park on Northland. When I first came here, I talked about our efforts to get more services out past the Cincinnati city limits, and we've been doing that as a board. So people will be able to access services out in the Forest Park areas, Forest Park, Springdale, Woodlawn, and this satellite office will include some of Job and Family Services, Emergency Management Agency, and 513 Relief Bus will also be housed there. And our EMA program will have some drone demonstrations for everybody to see. We'll have food and celebration and music and everything. So I just want to thank my colleagues for their coordination and agreement to do this. It's from 1 to 3. And the ribbon cutting will be about 1:45. So everyone, please come out and see it. We're excited about it. That's all I have.
Thank you. And Commissioner Reese has one more thing.
Yeah, one more thing I forgot, and we can go into not so much detail. We did have a presentation on the proposed convention hotel by the Portman Group, and there was mention that there would be some additional paperwork. I just want to be on record that I'm disappointed. We were told 800 rooms. We lost 800 rooms. We're now talking 700 rooms. And I've been getting questions of how the deportment group say that there's a $20 million gap. We're getting 100 less rooms, but they have money to buy a hotel. So I'm confused of how we brought them here to do a headquarters hotel, but they ended up buying another hotel that they're going to be announcing soon, but then tell us that they $20 million less than getting the headquarter hotel, which was why they were brought here in the first place. So I just like to have Mr. Ludo maybe get us some more information on it before there's any paperwork. We were told that this would be shovels in the ground in 2025. And remember World Cup, they said would have it up by 26. But how did they have time to buy a hotel and then come back and tell us they don't have money to build the headquarter hotel, which is what we definitely need because we gave up 800 rooms. So just wanted to make sure that's on your radar because people had asked me about that. I don't have the answer to it, and maybe you'll be able to get it something to us, to our board in some capacity. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we are going to move to the administrator, and again, with the deference of the board, I'm going to ask that we advance by leave number 5, which is the by leave related to Paycor Stadium. Yeah? We already, I'll do that one. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Administrator Aludo?
Thank you, Commissioners. I will go right at, thank you, the direction is to go right into by leave 5. I will say that the Commissioners stole my thunder, both of you, on the events of this weekend. We've got the satellite office opening on Friday, Tots to Teens on Saturday, so thanks for getting that information out there as well. As we're getting started, as some information is being passed out, do just one brief comment, unrelated, but just in lieu of my comments, Commissioner, I do just want to thank all of the public sector employees right now who are, we've got some severe heat going on. We're getting the email updates from EMA and Nick Crosley, and it's tough enough for most folks, but we've got public employees that are out there, whether they're in the engineer's office, MSD, we've got folks doing fire hydrants, sheriff deputies, building inspectors, just a host of people that are out there that are working through this. Just want to thank them, remind them, everyone, to be safe, and hopefully we get a break in this weather sometime soon here. Thank you for my indulgence on that,
Thank
Commissioners.
you. Appreciate that.
So we do have a presentation today, Commissioners, related to a proposed term sheet with the Cincinnati Bengals. We do have a presentation that we'll do shortly. You can just go ahead and tee up the first slide, Christy, so we can go into that seamlessly. But Commissioners, I'll just start by saying, I'm going to turn it over to some folks here very quickly, but I just want to say that it's my pleasure today to provide for your consideration a resolution and a term sheet that will lay out the framework for a new lease agreement between the county and the Cincinnati Bengals at Paycor Stadium. While we'll discuss a resolution today, the process of coming to terms on a new agreement is one that began years ago, as you're all aware. In my experience as administrator, I know that the county, this board specifically, has attempted to work with the team continually to make our operating relationship better and smarter for the taxpayer. This board has been relentless in that regard, recognizing that our sports teams are an integral part of the fabric of our community, but that public deals with our teams must be partnerships. As the board is aware, those efforts culminated recently in the conclusion of a facility assessment and a master plan process to guide the future renovation of Paycor Stadium. As that process concluded late last year, the work then turned toward discussion of a new lease to ensure the team's long-term presence in Hamilton County, in Cincinnati, on the riverfront, and in Paycor Stadium. I'll say that, as is the case with most negotiations, these discussions have ebbed and flowed. They were complex. They were often challenging. But both parties were committed to getting something done, to preserving the future of the team in Hamilton County, and to arrive at something that works for both the county and the team. For its part, the board's goals were clear: to keep the team in Hamilton County, to invest in the stadium to ensure it remains a viable asset for the entire community, to improve the utilization of the stadium, to work with the team to craft a smarter lease that still works for both parties, and to do so in a financially prudent manner. So after several months of discussion, today we announce a framework of a deal for your consideration that we believe accomplishes these goals. To be clear, it's not perfect, but as often is the case in tough negotiations, no one leaves the table thinking they got the perfect deal. And I think as you'll hear, it's a better deal, a smarter deal than what was done under the previous lease. I'm hoping the team would concur with that. Before I go any further and introduce our guests today, I want to thank a few people. First, not to belabor the point, I want to thank the board for its vision and clarity to ensure that our team had a firm understanding of what success would look like. Without that, we wouldn't be here today. It's real easy to put concepts on paper. The challenge is developing a framework that works for your negotiating partner and is also done in the context of the policy guidance set by the board. So I thank you for that, because without that clarity, we would not be able to provide a recommendation for you today. I want to thank the prosecutor's office, Prosecutor Pillich, Steve Simon, Roger Friedman, who've overseen the legal aspects of these negotiations. I want to thank Mr. David Abrams with Inner Circle Sports, who's here with us today. We will hear from David shortly. He and his colleague, An Lee, I don't think An could be with us today, but David has decades of experience in this space and an intuitive understanding of the business of professional sports and how deals are done throughout the country. So again, we'll hear from him shortly, but without his assistance, we wouldn't be here. Our outside counsel firm, Dinsmore & Scholl, George Vincent, Marty Dunn, Alex Linzer, who came in precisely as advertised, grabbed the reins on this and worked day and night with incredible expertise to make sure that we could get where we needed to be. I want to thank our industry-renowned financial experts with PFM, Bethany Pugh, Kevin Dowling, Brad Rui, who's also with Dinsmore. These individuals are literally top in their field. They represent the county with great expertise and made sure that the framework that we'll outline here works from a fiscal perspective. And finally, I want to thank the county staff who've also been involved with this issue. Joe Paul, our stadium operations team, Joe's here with us today, and notably Bridget Doherty, who I pulled out of her regular communications role to serve on a day-to-day role with this project. So with all that said, Commissioners, I'm going to turn it over here to David Abrams here to provide some overall context for the deal points that we'll be discussing shortly. He's going to then turn it over to Marty Dunn with Dinsmore to walk through some of the specific deal points. Again, what you're going to hear are details of terms with the team. We are not asking for the board's vote on a lease today. Both the county and the team understand that. But these are the core pillars on which that new lease will be built. And I believe, as you'll hear, this is a lease that will provide a more stable financial environment for the county. It'll address the needs of the team, provide a better environment for fans, and ultimately it's a smarter deal for the county and its residents. So, Commissioners, unless there's any opening comments, I'd like to turn it over to Mr. David Abrams to provide some context on what you're going to be hearing from Mr. Dunn.
Thank you. Welcome, David.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Administrator. Commissioners, I appreciate you having me here to address you. It's been a long road. Just real briefly, because I have never had the opportunity to really address you in this forum. I'm David Abrams. I represent Inner Circle Sports. We are a boutique investment bank. I am based in New York City. We focus on the sports ecosystem. My primary charge inside of our company is to work on sports anchored real estate, so stadiums and arenas and the development around them, and that's what I spend the most of my time on. I've been doing this since the early 90s and have represented a number of NFL franchises as well as governments, but I work across all sports leagues and mostly in the United States. While our company does some European football, it's typically not my charge. I'd like to tell you that one of two really important things that I focus on whenever I am hired by unit of local government. That is team. So the team that's been on the basically in negotiations. And so from the administrator's office to the prosecutor's office to your outside legal counsel and your financial advisors, it's been nothing short of an A1 team. I mean, just really good people, all heading in the right direction to create something that is both long-lasting and good for both the county and for the team. So I couldn't do my job without the people that are sitting here and in the administrator's office, and the leadership that the commission's given us, as well as terms of the objectives that you want to achieve, also very important. When we get a sort of a list of things to do and we get the help to do it, it makes the job so much easier. So the fact that I'm standing here is a product of that everybody else that you've employed has really done their job. Right? The other thing is that I always look at an agreement being one that not only should we be able to shake hands the day you either vote for it or we move forward, but when it's over. 5, 10, 15 years down the road. It needs to be sustainable. These business agreements are oftentimes fraught with complications, those that people can't see into the future for. And quite frankly, maybe my spidey sense is that I see down the road as to what is important for community, what's important for the team, what's important for the fans, and what's important for the elected body that's making those decisions. I can't say that I have every issue locked up, but I have at least a sense of purpose going forward. And what we're trying to accomplish is something that you'll be proud of, not only this year, but next year and the years after, and the people that follow in your footsteps. Because in 1997, when the original deal was done between the Bengals and the county, it was looked at as being a very one-sided transaction. And look, long before I ever came here and met you all, those of us in the sports industry had looked at that deal and said, this is one that we don't want to replicate. And yet, it's been replicated in other places around the country. So when I came to you the first time and met you, I explained that, yes, I've seen this story. It's not simple. It's not easy to just turn the switch off and move the risk from, let's say, the county over to the team automatically. It happens in phases, and that's what we've done. So we've created a business arrangement, at least the framework for a business arrangement, that is shifted risk away from the county. We're capping your capital expense exposure. We're getting more contribution from the team. We're creating an era of cooperation between the team and the county, one that didn't exist before, not in the way that you all would want it, not in the way that the community would want it. And by the way, anytime that you shift the ledger from one direction to the other, it's difficult, right? It takes time to do that, and it took time. And I'd commend the prosecutor's office and the Dinsmore team, nothing short of absolutely amazing at what they've done. And Jeff's leadership in giving us sort of the direction has been just tremendous. And over the last, say, 3 or 4 weeks, we have made more progress than we've made in the last 3 or 4 months. So that's great. We're here in front of you today to explain some of the details of this proposed framework, but the real work is yet to begin. Right? Once you have a framework and you agree with that framework, we really need to sit down and work through the definitive documentation, which is the lease agreement and everything else that goes with it, including the county actually having to issue debt or borrow money. And that takes a while to do as well. Your financial advisors at PFM, very capable, by the way, will walk you through that process when it becomes timely to do so. We're going to focus on the framework of this agreement and how it goes into a lease structure, and then there'll be other elements of that business arrangement that we will be working on as well. So we'll try to do this in as quickly as possible. It doesn't happen overnight because putting pen to paper on a lot of terms takes a bit of time because everybody's looking at each word and its impact. So with that, just a few things and I'm going to turn it over to to Marty Dunn to give you more finer details on this. And I can't thank Marty and George and Alex enough for being at my side, and it's been a nice partnership, so thank you. We're limiting the exposure of the county to $350 million. This won't be done all at once. This is a team that's playing in its existing stadium. We have to do this over a number of years, 2 or 3 years. So the borrowing will take place over 2 or 3 years. The team's putting in $120 million. I look at that capital as coming from them and the NFL, but essentially this is a loan from the NFL. So the NFL will be contributing, but it is basically on the back of the team to make good on their promises to the league. That's called the G5 program. I always thought it matched like the Gulfstreams. You know, they always had like Gulfstream 3, 4, 5, but that's not the case, right? The stadium lending program has been around for a number of years, and actually quite a number of decades, actually. And it is there to support communities in their quest for growing stadium, making the stadiums better, more modern. And it is really, in this iteration of it, it is a function of the team investing in their building and the league doing it along with the team. It is not tied directly to us investing in it. So the project is going to be roughly $470 million done over a period of a couple of years. That's not including any state funding should that materialize. And it's important to understand that not only is the capital the important part, but understanding who pays for the stadium. And I'm going to let Marty sort of talk about that and some of the terms. But one thing that I am always keenly aware of is that we could agree on building a new stadium or renovating a stadium, but the fact of the matter is that once you have the keys to that building or the renovations, you have to operate and maintain, right? A new house costs more money, right? And so over a period of time, you need to be able to make sure that it is just as good 5 years, 10 years down the road than it was the day you finished those improvements. So that's one thing that we worked really hard to limit the county's exposure to maintaining, both from an operating standpoint and a capital standpoint. So those are some of the terms that you'll hear. And then we're going to have more say in the management of the building, which I think leads to hopefully improve profitability, but a better relationship between the team and the county as we go forward. All right, I'm going to turn it over to Marty. Is that good? Right. And I'm here to answer any questions you have. I'm happy to do so.
Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Welcome, Marty.
Good morning. Thank you. President Driehaus, commissioners, Marty Dunn of Dinsmore and Show. I'm honored to be here. Let me say that when we first became aware of this, like many of you, we were sports fans looking at this impending lease negotiation. And we read or heard the name of David Abrams, and we're like, who is this guy? It seemed like a smart thing to do to hire someone who had that kind of industry expertise. And I will tell you that shortly after our engagement, one of the first conversations we had was with David Abrams, and within minutes, we were convinced that he was the right person to help this county negotiate this critical deal with the Bengals. He has been a tremendous partner, a tremendous ally in this, and it has been a phenomenal team effort. So kudos to the commissioners, kudos to county prosecutor's office for doing this. He was the right person, and it's been a joy to work with him. I think we've got a PowerPoint now where we can walk through some of the key elements of the terms that we've been able to negotiate. Just as a reminder for people, the original lease was signed in 1997. I mean, it's amazing how quickly 30-some years or almost 30 years can pass. This is a new era. We've ventured into what we're going to call a modernized lease. For years, the old lease was criticized by the team, by the county, even though it was something that we had to do in 1997 to make all of this work. It's a new day. It's a new day. Here are some of the financial terms. So the county's contribution is going to be $350 million, and it is capped. That's it. Any client, any financial arrangement, you love to have predictability, and it gives us that. The team is not out of this. They're putting in $120 million. David made mention of the G5 program, which will be a part of that, but the team has stepped up. big and put in $120 million into this project, the overall size of which will be $470 million with the construction timeline of 2 to 3 years. This is a 75-25 split, which is a change from the nearly 90% contribution that the county had during the last lease. The lease term, it's an 11-year base lease. And some people may say, why is it 11 years? They probably heard things about 10 years. It's a 10-year extension beyond where we were, but because it's a new lease of 11 years, we're capturing that final 2025 NFL season and improving the terms and conditions of that last year of the current lease. So this is an 11-year arrangement. There will be 5 2-year extension options that the team will have, but the first option is a guarantee if there's an automatic renewal if the team reaches 24th or better ranking in NFL revenue. So they can voluntarily elect to extend it for another 2 years. If for some reason they choose not to, we have that metric in place to guarantee that there's an opportunity for another 2 years to tack on. The annualized capital contributions, $3 million annually for the first 3 years. Then it goes up to $6 million thereafter. It's indexed for the Consumer Price Index and 2.5%. The unspent amounts will go into a CapEx account, and the obligation will continue into the extension periods. Nothing prevents the team from putting in additional money for future improvements should they so choose. Let me also pause on this, though, that this is another thing where there's predictability to the investment that the county is making, and it's something that did not exist in the current lease. Next one. Rent. Similar to the contributions, we're going to get annualized rent of $1 million in years 1 through 3. That escalates to $2 million at year 4 going forward, again indexed for the Consumer Price Index or 2.5%, and the rent will continue through the extension years as well. Project management, the team will manage the renovation project with county input following the publicly funded projects, the procurement policy that the county has in place for publicly funded projects. State funding and urban design. Again, this is a new day, this is a new era, it's a new partnership between the county and the Bengals, and one of the things that we will continue to do jointly and aggressively is to pursue state funding. Folks in the area have heard about what's going on in other parts of the state, and we have already begun to collaborate to make sure that we can bring some of those dollars to Hamilton County. The Urban Design Study Group, there are recommendations out there with regard to the bank's development. The team and the county will work together to follow the recommendations of that urban design study for the betterment of the area around the stadium. Next slide, please. Operations and enhancements. The O&M responsibilities will follow the current practices where the team is responsible for game day costs. Any non-game day costs would be something that the county would take on. There was a provision that I don't think either the team, frankly, or the county liked in the old lease with regard to enhancements. That is going to be eliminated from this current lease. It was a provision that really allowed for kind of a comparison of what was going on in other markets, and if something was going on someplace else, the team technically could ask for the county to provide those enhancements. That provision is going to be removed from the current, I should say from the new lease that we have in place, or will have in place. You're quick, Jeff. Go ahead. All right, stadium use. This is another key part of the partnership. The county may engage a third party to market non-game day use. The county in this arrangement gains more control over the largest taxpayer-owned asset. There will be protections for the team operations included in the lease. On rent, the split will be a team portion of 93%, and the county will get 7%. There will be a stadium review after year 7. We are doing a renovation of a current stadium, and we'll continue to look at that stadium and its infrastructure and to make sure that it is serving the team and our county residents in the best way possible. Slide, please. Next steps. It took a lot for us to get here, and I can't, thank everyone enough about the team effort. David talked about it. It's been great. George and I have enjoyed working with him, but the county prosecutor's office, Steve, Roger, Jeff, your team, everybody, Bridget, it's been phenomenal. But we've got some more work to do. We've got some more work to do. We need to finalize the lease provisions. We are working on a document right now that would memorialize the commitment of both parties to do 2 things. One, it would outline the definitive documents and it would be mutually signed by the Bengals and the county. But there is a June 30 extension on Monday by which the Bengals would ordinarily have to give us notice of their right to extend the current lease for 2 years. Because of what we've been able to forge ahead with at this point, this LOI or letter of intent will extend that June 30 deadline so that it will coincide with the time that we need to complete the definitive documents. And it's a very careful process. There's a lot that's going to go on. We want to make sure we get it right. Parties will act in good faith. I mean, it's been good faith. We've enjoyed working with the county team, but we also have to acknowledge the cooperation we've gotten from the Bengals team. You know, that may be tough for some people. So, wait, you guys are supposed to hate each other and fight and that kind of stuff. The negotiations have been spirited, but they have been focused. They have been continuous, and we have been in constant communication with us. There was never, with each other, there has never been a point at all where the conversations ended. And we've been very responsive to each other in a very timely manner. So I want to acknowledge the Bengals' cooperation in this, and we still have some work to do. That's it. I'm open for any questions. As is David, yes, please.
Yeah, I'm just was reminded that I should point out that this is compare this to other renovations that are going on around the country. This is probably a lower cost of initial capital than just about anywhere that I'm working in the NFL. Now, I've cautioned everybody that you can't point to 3 or 4 deals and it's a linear progression as to why this one might be better or pick and choose. It's very hard to sort of compare one or the other. But from the standpoint of invested capital, we are investing what I consider a modest amount, not an excessive amount. On a per year basis, it's lower than what I've seen in other cities. So kudos. But again, you know, this is a building that this county owns. And so you don't want to shortchange its investment. So that I think is important. But from a rental standpoint, from capping our exposure, these are good terms, right? You're getting, rent from the team, which in some cases there isn't rent from other teams. You're capping your CapEx exposure. They're paying their event day expenses. And you might even ask that, well, why does it go from 3 to 6, right? From the county standpoint. And the simple reason is we're investing money up front. There shouldn't be a large need for capital expenditures in the years that we're actually doing the construction. So it's a lower amount. And this is putting money aside to help the building get on its feet once it's open, right? There are always going to be things that need to be attended to. Same thing for the rent. The team is going to be spending a lot of money in the building. Their rent jumps up after that expenditure is done. So we tried to do that in lockstep. So it's a very fair lease. From our standpoint, it compares well around the country from other NFL teams. And what it does is it equitably sharing in expenses is something that wasn't really in our agreements before, that it is now. And again, I would commend, as Marty said, the relationship with the Bengals has been a good one, that we've had again, spirited, I think is a good way to characterize it, but it's never simple. But they have been at the table continuously working with us to find solutions, and that's our job, is to find a solution. Your job is to agree or not agree with that. But I think we have found something that compares very well to everything you would see around the country. So I just wanted to make that point for you.
Okay, so thank you for the presentation. Thank you, Jeff, for teeing this up. So we have, as everyone has noted, we've been doing this for a very long time. And when asked, how long have you been negotiating with the Bengals? Well, I started about 8.5 years ago, and I would say 8.5 years in my case, because we're always negotiating with the Bengals. We've got 19 amendments to the original lease. So in recognition that it didn't serve our purposes as a county, and so we've always been in negotiations with the Bengal. They've revved up lately, and that is true because we had a deadline in front of us, and we're meeting that deadline. But I do want to say that these conversations have been ongoing. They've ebbed and flowed. Did you say I like the word spirited by way of defining the conversations that we've had? But we have been at the table in as David said, a spirit of cooperation to try to get something done by the deadline. And so we've arrived at this moment in time. I feel like it's a historic moment. We've been living with the old lease for a very long time, and we have agreed with the Bengals on new terms for a new lease. I too want to thank the team. This has been challenging for a number of reasons, but our county staff has been second to none. And Jeff Aludo, I don't know when you sleep, I don't know when you eat, I don't know if your family ever sees you, but we are very grateful for all the time and effort you've put in. I know it's been a lot of energy expended on this, so thank you for your work. Bridget Doherty has really stepped up too. Thank you, Bridget, for doing your role as the comms person in addition to all the other stuff that was required. And John Brugan, who is a guiding force on all things county budget and keeping us in line by way of what we can afford to do and what we should be doing financially. The new team, George Vincent, Marty Dunn, Alex Linzer, you guys have been great. Thank you so much for stepping in. On the ground, running as soon as you got here. I know there was quite a bit of prep work that happened even before that. So thank you so much for sticking in there with us and all the work that you've been able to do, along with Roger Friedman, who's been around for a while by way of the county side. Thank you, Roger, for everything that you've done. David Abrams, your expertise has been invaluable. I mean, it's the reason we brought you in, because you know stuff we don't know about the market, about other teams, about what's fair. And so your lens has been critical to helping us understand, what we should be asking for, what they should be asking for, and trying to balance all that with us. I wanted to mention Bethany Pugh. She doesn't get a lot of attention because she's a financial analyst, but Bethany's runs of all these different numbers and figures and what we can afford to do, what's our capacity, again, has been a guiding force for us, so I'm very grateful. Prosecutor Pillage, you've played a role in this too. Thank you for your support in helping us get to this moment in time, and Steve Simon also with the prosecutors team. Really appreciate that. I also want to thank the residents and the taxpayers who have weighed in on a daily basis at some weeks and made sure, and we go out, we talk to folks, they have weighed in and let us know from what I've heard, please keep the Bengals here and please get a new lease. And we've delivered on that today. And that was not an easy thing to deliver on, but here we are. And I also want to thank the Bengals. As you say, we could not be sitting here without the Bengals saying yes to the terms of a new lease. And we all know the Bengals want to stay in Cincinnati. And so I think that was their motivation primarily. But they could have extended the current lease for 10 more years. And I don't want to lose track of that fact, but they didn't do that. They hung in there with us. It's been a challenging negotiation, but we have been together at the table the whole time, and so I am grateful for their collaboration in all these discussions. So we've come to an agreement that ensures that the team will be here for at least another decade with a lease that is far more favorable to the taxpayers without raising taxes. The agreement is not perfect, but it is a far cry better than what we have had to endure for the past 28 years. We can finally answer the question, did we get a better deal for the taxpayers while keeping the team here? And the answer is yes, we did. And we collectively, yes, we did. So I just want to highlight just a couple of things that were mentioned during the presentation. We were looking for something where we could have some stability in this community by way of having the team here. We knew the Bengals wanted to stay here. We wanted to keep them here. And so this agreement is, as was stated, an 11-year agreement because it will kick in before the old lease kicks out. And so that's good. And then we've got this trigger language for the next 2 years. So in my mind, it's closer to a 13-year agreement because we expect that trigger to kick in, and we can do that without having any further conversations with the team or internally. So I feel like that time frame is good. I think that's in market value. We have the county has committed to $350 million, and it's capped. This is something that we've been worrying about because the old lease allowed the Bengals to come in and ask for enhancements relative to the market, relative to what everybody else was doing to stadiums all over the country. And so we always had this undefined liability that we might have to spend money we don't have, we can't afford, if the Bengals asked for these enhancements. That was in the old lease. That is something that keeps you up at night. And so this is capped. That is a great benefit to the county. And I'm thrilled that that is within obviously also the borrowing capacity of the county, as Bethany determined for us. The team is also in. And I think this is important because in the past lease, the team had no obligation to contribute to the capital, not only maintenance, but also to the build of the stadiums. And so we all know that that was a very low percentage, like 5% maybe. And so they've kicked in for the $120 million. And David, you characterize it correctly. It's NFL and team money, but the team had to go get the money, and they're on the hook for the money. So it's $120 million that the team is obligated to put forward by way of this agreement. And so I am delighted that they are participating in this financial stack, in addition to the rent. So they don't pay any rent right now. They're not obligated to pay anything by way of rent. And so they are saying they're going to pay $1 million in the first 3 years and then $2 million after that. When you total all that up over the term, it's between 20 and 30 million or so. So the way I think about this is add that to the 120, because this is the team's financial participation in the deal. And so you have to take the 120 and add the rent that we've never seen before, and add that to the total that the team is going to contribute. So I'm up to 150 million. So it's a substantial investment from the team, and I'm glad that we could negotiate those terms. As I said, the CapEx is also capped. This money that we will put in, and we always have to maintain. It's our asset. It's the taxpayer's asset. So we need to put CapEx in to make sure that this stadium is functional, that it's safe, not only for game day, but also for all the other events that will be happening in this stadium. The reason we are talking about a renovation and not a new build is because of the CapEx work that we've done in the past. And so we will continue to do that. I talked about the enhancement language. The other big piece of this, and I know my colleagues, we all care very deeply about this stadium belongs to the taxpayers. And finally, the taxpayers are going to have access to their stadium. We're going to get a group in here, and we are in charge now. We've not been in charge over the past 30 years, but we are now going to be in charge of scheduling what happens in the stadium. We'll bring in concerts, we'll bring in games. I mean, it's an exciting opportunity for the county, and so I'm very, very excited that finally taxpayers will get to use this facility as we should and to their benefit. Another thing that was mentioned was the urban design review, and I don't want to gloss over this piece. Right now, under the current lease, the Bengals have had certain authority to control what does and does not happen on the banks. Height restrictions, density restrictions for properties that are nearby their stadium, or rather our stadium, but the one they use, those are gone in the new agreement. And so remember, we've got 4 lots left. Those 4 lots are very close to the Bengal Stadium. And so we have taken away their ability to restrict that development. And so that is good for the taxpayers. It'll open up the urban design review process. the Bengals have a seat at that table, so that it's not like they've been left out, but rather we will be having a better line of determination from the county as to how that moves forward. And then lastly, I just want to talk about the community benefits agreement. And we haven't gone into a lot of detail there. There's still some things to be worked out, but I am very excited that we will have a benefits agreement, community benefits agreement with the Bengals. This will include things like our inclusion policy. It will include things like fair wages and prevailing wage. It will include things that are important. I'll speak for myself, to myself, as we think about a community asset, the work that we're doing in that community asset, and how we treat the individuals that work on the community asset, and make sure that people from this community benefit from the team being here in ways that are outside just the economic development benefit that we all can recognize, but additional benefits that we have not seen in the past. So again, something that the team has agreed to, and I'm very excited to dig into that and get into more detail there. So thank you all again for getting us to this moment in time. It is historic. We've been talking about this lease for a very long time, and thank you all for being part of the solution to the conundrum we had, which is getting this done on time in partnership with the Bengals. So thank you. Commissioner Summer Dumas.
What else is there to say?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, you know, I always have to put my spin on it. So you've given all the thank yous, and it's ditto for me. I think one of our most important moves was when we hired David. That was a great recommendation, and I have just so excited about how you've led your team. And of course, when we got this new legal team in, I'm just, I guess the word is flabbergasted, how hard you guys have been working. So I won't start individually naming people, because I know I'll leave like Roger out and all that, so I don't want to do that. But what I'd like to do is to look at today. It is certainly historical. And I really want to give a historical and a personal perspective on my role as we went through the negotiation process. Of course, when you negotiate, you have to go in with a clear vision and expectations. The door was open to this process, and the lines of communication began. And there are a few things for me as a commissioner that were a deal breaker, and most of them have been talked about. I'm sure they'll be discussed again. But one thing I knew was that the current agreement would be a thing of the past. I knew I wanted a new lease, and that's what we'll be getting. One thing that I wanted to ensure was that my people, approximately 836,000 residents, which includes Democrats, Republicans, Independent, Green Party, those that don't vote, those that never go to the games, I wanted to represent and advocate for all of them during this process, and I feel like I've done that. One thing that I advocated for was no new taxes, and I've done that. One thing that I advocated for the people to pay less and for the team to contribute more in the pot, and I've done that. See, I did all that myself, you know. So, but I thought David was nice when he said the equitable sharing wasn't really in the old agreement. That was nice that you said it that way, because it was not in there at all. One thing that I advocated for was at the stadium, and it was said earlier, the People's Stadium will be used by them, for them, and with them. This will not be the exception, but it will be the rule. And the county, as we said, will provide the booking for outside events. One thing I advocated for was the ability to continue providing a property tax rebate to the people that still, so we can still allow some fiscal viability for the county, but also see if we can fit in also the property tax rebate and remain viable fiscally. And one thing I advocated for was that the county receive reasonable rent from the team. I've done that. One thing that I advocated for was an agreement that the term of the lease would be reasonable as we provide capital investments. And when I say, seriously, when I say I've done that, we put it all on the table. You guys listened, and you fought for it, and you stood strong, and we stood strong. So when I say I've done that, I brought what I thought was good for our county, and I'm really happy about it, and you guys fought for it. So I do not think that I really didn't think we'd be here today at all. I mean, not that I was negative, but things were just going in different ways. It was described that way. So I'm just really happy about being here. Our team and their team have worked hard to become a winning team. So I thank all of you, and I thank the Bengals.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Reese.
Thank you very much. I want to echo the thank yous to the team that has been put together. I want to, though, keep highlight on who hired all of us to be in this room. The taxpayer, the person that's struggling every day, the person that bought some bubble gum, some person that's paying their property taxes. The only reason we are here talking about the Bengals did not hire us to be here. The taxpayers hired each of us. And yes, we have thousands and thousands of folks that live in Hamilton County, and I'm happy to represent them. But I have to acknowledge the 218,000 plus that went to the polls and said, yes, I want Reese to represent me. And I don't take that lightly. My first election, they had to risk their life because we had COVID. And they went out in the COVID to vote for me, and I take that very, very seriously. I do want to thank our prosecutor who came in and allowed us to come with a new team. I wish the team was here at the beginning of this process. And I know that took a lot of guts. Now, with that, I want to give a caveat. This is not personal. Somebody said it was business, but it's also the business of the people that I'm supposed to be representing. The Bengals have their lawyers, and they have to represent their client at all costs. They don't care about anything of our clients. They care about their clients. And I have to represent the taxpayers. I'm a Bengal fan, but I got to take the fan off. I can buy a ticket and go to the game. I can tailgate. That's different. We're talking about the people's money, their future in this county. So the deal is between the Bengals ownership and the taxpayers. And sometimes we kind of make Hamilton County appear to be kind of a business or an entity of its own. It's not versus the county government, it's versus the taxpayers who will have to pay for this deal, not just today, but all the way through. In 1997, I was not even in politics at all. And I done been to the city, the state, and now the county. That's how long ago this was. But they put together an agreement that no matter who sits up here, no matter who the administrator is, no matter who the county commissioners are, no matter who the prosecutors are, that they put an ironclad deal that we must abide by. I got here and was handcuffed to a deal that was done before I even thought about being in politics. So what we're doing now is our first crack at what happened in 1997 and what we can do today. So with that, I have to be honest about some stuff. Number one, this is not a lease. That's number one. Number two, I feel that my people that voted for me, it has been taken away from me because already, and I don't know who sent it out, I'm very confused. I haven't voted, but I was elected to give a vote. And on here it has 1 hour ago, Cincinnati Enquirer, here are the terms of the new lease. Before, Mr. Ludo, you even presented it to the people. You said, now we have a PowerPoint. It's already an Enquirer. So the PowerPoint was given out before the people got it. It's in USA Today, it's in the Enquirer. Then let's go to WKRC. 9 minutes ago, deal is reached. We haven't even taken a vote. Deal has been reached. So who put it out there? Somebody put it out there. WLWT Channel 5. Bengals County leaders reach a deal. I haven't even voted yet. I should have the right to vote. Somebody put it out that the deal was already reached, and this is why the speeches was being made. Sports Illustrated done got a hold of it. Cincinnati Bengals and Hamilton County agree. This is the problem. This is the problem that's really going on. And I try to come in here and say, well, really no reason, kind of lay back. And I ain't laying back. 218,000 people voted for me to come down here and get a vote. And y'all done, somebody done gave it out that we're in the bag. It's a done deal. Somebody gave it to them. Somebody handed it to them. How did they get the lease an hour ago? Somebody handed it to them. While we sitting here looking at it, this ain't the first time. What I'm here today to talk about, and I'm just as angry as the taxpayers are. What I'm here to talk about is, number one, I will not be no rubber stamp. Number two, you will not dictate what my vote is before I take a vote. We shouldn't be handing out information before the people get it. Somebody handed it out. Because we was just now saying, let's go to the PowerPoint, and I'm looking at the thing, it's already. That's a problem. The problem we have now is the process that was done in 1997. We're back with the same process. Voters were told if you go to the polls and vote for these two stadiums, you will get 30%. It may not have passed if the 30% wasn't in there. They lied to the taxpayers. They gave them a concept. That's what we're doing today. They gave them a concept. But the concept is a lot different than when you get to this thing right here. All these pages, all these whereases, all this. This is where the taxpayers got screwed. They won on a concept, but they lost on the actual binding agreement. So for me, I can't get up and clap and take a bow. Because I've been, since 1997, they told you the date that this would expire. We had almost 30 years to get to the expiration date. So I don't know why we're running out of time. We had 30 years to get to the expiration date. We do not have a lease. So I want to make that very clear. So what I'm trying to do is what didn't happen in 1997. I got to read the fine print. I can't go with ideas. I can't go with LOIs, letter of intent, unenforceable. It's not enforceable in the court of law. It's not binding. I can't go with memos, memorandums of understandings. I've been very consistent. Where is the lease? I need the whereases, I need the commas, I need the periods. And I'm not necessarily blaming this team because they came in late to the game, but I just want to say that doesn't change that this is where I've been since I got here 5 years ago. And it hasn't changed that the deadline is in stone, it's in the contract, since 1997. So we knew 1997 this day would come. With that being said, today what's presented is what was presented to the voters in 1997, a concept. What the voters got mad about is when we got past the concept and we got to the actual lease. This is not a lease. In fact, the resolution says resolution to authorize negotiation of a new lease. Well, somebody said we've been negotiating, but now we're going to vote now to negotiate a new lease. Another thing that it says on here, I have to put my other glasses on so I really can read this stuff, because they make it real fine print. It says, be it further resolved that neither the term sheet attached to this resolution nor a subsequent letter of intent shall be interpreted as a new lease agreement. I didn't see that in the articles they put out. Between the board, and neither the board or the team will have any rights or obligations under a new lease agreement until the final lease is done. Now on here it says after this we'll start talking about a lease. It does not have a deadline. We're extending a deadline into perpetuity, because there's no date on it, to get the lease. And I'll be honest with you, I've had people come to me and say, listen, you guys have been on this lease. I've been hearing about this lease since December of last year. Of course, we've been doing it longer. And we got other issues. We out here struggling. People done lost their jobs. We had a veteran outside of our last meeting. There was a lot of commotion. And I asked, well, what was the commotion about? This veteran, Caucasian veteran, he was mad and they said, be quiet. He said, don't tell me to shh, because they done turned off my gas and electric and I serve this country. So my question in this LOI, since we are representing the taxpayers, that's our portion of taxpayers, there are some things that I think need to be hit on. Number one, today we do not have a final lease. The agreement being voted on today is not a final lease, it's not legally binding, it's not enforceable, it's an LOI concept, same as what the voters had in 1997 when they voted for this and they gave them a concept. We'll have 2 stadiums and you have 30%. Never happened. Number 2, broken promises since 1997. Voters was promised the 30% rebate to support the construction of the 2 riverfront stadiums. That promise was really never fulfilled, leaving taxpayers with no guaranteed benefits. So in here, the Bengals get a guarantee, but there's no guarantee tangible for the taxpayers. The taxpayers are left out of this deal. I even asked them, in the old deal, which is the one we got right now, and it's not gonna change, by the way, until we get a new lease, so it's still the same deal, at least I could present every year 30%. And we got it 2 of the years that I was here. I've been here 5 years. It's a struggle. But in this year, you can't even get to 30%. I can introduce it and they'll say, oh, well, you signed off that you knew we didn't have the money. You can't even think about it till 7 years into a 10-year deal. So you at the end of the deal, the taxpayers are at the end. They're at the bottom. We'll be negotiating a new deal before we get to their 30% at a time when their number one issue is property taxes right now. So that's in there. They said we can put a few, but we won't be able to get to 30, is what I was told. Maybe the 7th year of the 10-year new deal. Now, taxpayers, we're giving a guarantee to the Bengals, okay. They have 9 games, 66,000 attendees. 50% of them don't live in Hamilton County. And then we have the homeowners. They're about 220,000 to 230,000 homeowners, and they have no guarantee in the deal. Even the old deal allowed us to pretend we could try to do something. The new deal, we can't even 30% forget about it until the 7th year. The other thing is, as we look at the time, and I know all of us had tried to get a longer deal, the original deal was what, almost 30 years, 20-something years? We're coming in with a 10-year deal with a few options. Now, we also have the Red Stadium. Their deal ends in 2037. So now we would be negotiating, this is the second deal with the Bengals, we would be negotiating a 3rd deal plus the Reds' 2nd deal at the same time. And if you say we ain't got no money now for the taxpayers, how will we be able to do that with 2 stadiums almost overlapping in time? And then the other thing, we was wanting to get some state support. We got nothing. We got nothing. They're gonna maybe they'll put a thing together and we can go up there and beg, but the Browns is in the deal. Now people say, well, Reese, did you meet with the governor? Well, when I was president, I was approved to go into 1 meeting only. And I went in there with the Mr. Ludo and the people we have, and we asked for the governor to make sure that we're included. He put a plan together for a whole pot of money and everything, but then I wasn't there no more. All those other meetings I wasn't in, I don't know about. But let me say this, his plan and the state plan, I wanted to tell you what exactly I told him. It's in the Cleveland.com, September 19th, 2024, okay? It has in here, Hamilton County Commissioner Lisa Reese says she reiterated the message that Cincinnati wants its fair share. That was my last conversation with him. The Browns is in there by name. We got 0. We got 0. So the state was willing to let the Bengals leave the state. Then the Bengals had the city in there asking for some money. We didn't ask for it, but they put some in. The city said no. They told them no. The state said no. The city said no. It was interesting. So to put it on the county that we was not cooperative, I can't buy that because we have been working to try to keep them. Everything I have received in writing. I gave you the resolution that we're getting ready to pass, or not me, but they'll be passing. It has on here, no impact on the lease on the memo. The memo has that. It says, quote, nothing in this memo is intended to, nor shall be deemed or constructed to alter the terms of the current lease. So what I'm trying to do different that they didn't do in 1997, I must read all fine print. I must read what exactly they signed in writing. I must make sure whatever we have in writing has to be binding, enforceable, and legal. Meaning, this lease in here got a lot of whereases, got a lot of clauses, and it's cost the taxpayers. So today we have no lease. That's number one. Number two, there's nothing tangible for the taxpayer. Nothing tangible. The Bengals would be guaranteed $350 million, but the taxpayers are guaranteed nothing on their property taxes. We'll be in single digits. And Mr. Ludo and the finance people will say, you knew, Reese, we told you that we can't get to 30% at a time when property taxes is the number one issue right now. They even try to put something on the ballot. They packed the room. So I believe that maybe we had there's some good things in here. I'm not gonna say all these things are bad. There are some good things in here. I want to acknowledge that getting out of a 94%, 6% is a very tough thing to crawl out of. But I'm going to keep pushing until we get the actual lease where I can read every single clause. Because one thing I learned in reading this lease is that one group, the Bengals lawyers in 1997, they paid attention to all clauses. And stuff that we said, oh, it's just little, don't worry about it. Those things came to bite us. And they don't do nothing unless it's everything they ever did. Say they go back to this thing right here, the lease. So I think that this is a unfulfilled promise right now. I think that there's some additional work to be done. And I am going to continue to be optimistic and hopeful that we can make sure that there is some guarantee for the taxpayers of Hamilton County, who are the ones that are 100% on the hook to paying for this. So those are some points that I brought out. And at this time, I cannot confidently move forward with LOIs or memos. I don't want none of those. I don't want no memos. I don't want no LOIs. I don't want no emails. I have one thing I've wanted since I got elected. This. And once I get this and we read through it and it looks good, then I'll be ready to make another move. So that's not to diminish the work they've done. You came in late, you tried to get going, you moved as quick as you could, but I don't even think we should have a extension that don't have an end date. And the people I'm talking to is the taxpayer. That's who I'm talking to. We don't have an end date. And I think everything should have a deadline. So those are the things that I see. And I'm hopeful that we can keep working with the pen, keep getting the calculators out, and let's try to hope to get a good deal that becomes a true win-win that is enforceable by law. Thank you.
Thank you. So we have a by leave item, a resolution in front of us today. And Marty, would you please come back to the microphone just to explain to us the action today and how it relates to further actions related to the next steps with the team?
It would be a resolution to approve the economic terms of the deal and to allow us to move into the LOI. Commissioner Reese's points are well taken. We all know that we've got a lot of work to do with the definitive documents, but we need to do something in the interim to get us on that course and to make sure that the Bengals are committed. You're going to entertain a resolution. If it passes, it's the county's commitment. But we need a document that's going to reflect the Bengals' commitment to move forward. And if I can address one of the reasons that the extension deadline was not put in there is that it's going to take time to negotiate the documents, and we need to come up with a fair time so that we can catch all the whereases and everything else that you correctly pointed out. So that is why that specific timeline was not put in there as far as the extension is concerned. It will go in. There is an LOI that's been drafted. It's an internal document at our law firm right now. It will be released shortly, and it will specify what that date is and the time by which we should get all the negotiations and the final documents in place. So the LOI is really just an interim step that we take between this and when we get to the definitive documents.
Yeah, I just wanted to get more clarity on the process, so thank you for doing that. All right.
Can I ask a question about that part? So with that, has the Bengals signed on it? You said you have to go, you take it back and then they will, once the county passes, then you take it back to them, or has that already happened?
I don't want to speak for the Bengals, but they are anxiously watching these proceedings, and I think that they will be ready to sign an LOI as soon as possible.
Okay, but they've seen it.
They have seen the terms that you guys have gone through. We went through the PowerPoint on. They have been made aware of those terms. They know, and they are in agreement with those terms, yes. So we're not starting from scratch with them, but it has to be put in a framework where it's a document that they will actually sign it.
Right. We negotiated the terms.
We've negotiated,
together,
they are aware of it. They are in agreement with it, yes.
Yeah, okay.
No surprises.
All right, very good. Thank you. So I am going to make a motion to approve by leave 5, which is the resolution to authorize negotiation of new lease agreement with the Cincinnati Bengals.
Second.
Commissioner Dreehouse?
Yes.
Commissioner Summer Dumas?
Yes.
Commissioner Reese?
Abstain.
Thank you. All right, Administrator, we've got additional by leaves. Thank you all for being here. Thank you. For the room to clear. No, I think we're okay.
Okay, all right.
Let's go.
Okay.
And let me interrupt you by saying by leave 3 was the resolution appointing the members of the America 250 Ohio Hamilton County Local Committee and presentation. We had that presentation earlier, so I'm going to make a motion to approve of by leave 3. We saw the membership, and so I'm going to put that motion on the floor.
Second.
Commissioner Dreehouse?
Yes.
Commissioner Summer Dumas?
Yes.
Commissioner Reese?
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners. By leave 1 in front of you is a resolution granting a perpetual non-exclusive easement, authorizing the execution of documents necessary to establish an easement at 1912 Maple Avenue. This is in Norwood. This grants an easement across county-owned property in Norwood. It's approximately 0.113 acres, I believe. That, as the board is aware, the county has granted to Norwood, I believe it's a $2.3 million grant in order to remedy a major high-risk flooding issue out in Norwood. This is an easement necessary to contribute to and assist with that construction project. I believe Noah from Norwood is here. Oh, he's in the back. I don't have my glasses on. If there's any questions about it, but I recommend approval. But if we would like an update on the project, Noah is here who can walk us through that.
Thank you. Commissioners, are there any questions related to by leave 1?
No questions.
No, but thank you for being here. We appreciate it. I have no questions either, so I'm going to move that we approve of by leave 1.
Second.
Commissioner Dreehouse?
Yes.
Commissioner Summer Dumas?
Yes.
Commissioner Reese?
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners. By leave number 2 is a resolution authorizing a purchase-sale agreement. This is a resolution to grant our Community Improvement Corporation the authority to enter into a purchase-sale agreement with TriHealth for the sale of county-owned property of 5093 Kingsley for $2.75 million. The administration recommends approval.
Thank you. Commissioners, any questions? Commissioner Summer Dumas?
No questions.
All right. I'm going to move that we approve of by leave number 2.
Second.
Commissioner Dreehouse?
Yes?
Commissioner Summer Dumas?
Yes.
Commissioner Reese?
Thank you, Commissioners. And by leave number 4 is a budget adjustment. This relates to our Hilltop parking lot, which we are actively proceeding on construction on. This appropriates funding for the remainder of the temporary lot to be constructed on that site. We've demolished the site. We're actually getting ready to put down temporary asphalt now. The issue is that the initial appropriation for this was done back in 2019. The project is actually within engineers' estimates, et cetera, but we just never adjusted the appropriation to fit with the actual bids that came in. So this adds $490,000 to the project from parking revenues to support the completion of that project in advance of the Cincinnati Music Festival in late July.
All right, Commissioner Summer Dumas, any questions?
No questions. Oh, by the, yes, sorry. Yes, no problem.
Okay, I'm going to move to that we approve of by leave number 4.
Second.
Commissioner Dreehouse?
Yes?
Commissioner Summer Dumas?
Yes.
Commissioner Reese?
All right, thank you.
That completes the by leave agenda, Commissioners.
Appreciate it. Let's get to the regular agenda. The county engineer is here. Eric, I saw you moving back and forth, but you're in the room. You've got 3 items today.
I do. Good afternoon. I'll make it brief. Item number 1 is a resolution setting a hearing date for the 2025 municipal road fund projects. We would like to schedule this hearing for Thursday, July 17th at 10:15 here in room 603 to approve the projects that were submitted for municipal road funds for 2025. Item number 2 is the approval of the award for bids for Much More Road Improvements, Project 502-203. We opened bids on May 22nd. JTM Smith Construction was the lowest bidder at $859,685, approximately 7% below the engineer's estimate. The funding for this is 60% OPWC grant and the remainder from the Permissive Auto Fund. Item number 3 is a bid award for the thermoplastic and epoxy paint striping program, Project 502-512 in various townships through the county. Bids were opened on May 22nd. A&A Safety was the low bidder. Engineer's estimate was $350,000. The low bid was $241,974, approximately 31% under our estimate. And this funding comes totally out of the Road and Bridge Fund.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm glad they're coming in under estimate. That's really
Yes.
something. All right, Commissioner Summer Dumas, any
I
questions?
just had a question, well, really about 2 and 3, Eric.
Yes.
So you said it was 7% lower than what you guys had estimated, because if it's above, then you have to go out again.
If it exceeds by, I believe it's 10, it was 10%, they just changed that. I think it's a little more than that now. Yeah, that is correct.
About that last time, but for number 3, you guys were 35% above.
The bid was 30% below the engineer's estimate.
Okay, but how did you guys get so high?
What we did is we took last year's price and we added about a 5% increase on what we paid last year.
Mhm.
And that's how we came up with our price based on the trends. And apparently they were a little more competitive this year. They wanted the project more. Maybe the price of their materials have come down. Yeah.
That's great, though. Okay.
Yes, it is great. It's great for our budget.
Yeah.
Thank you. Commissioner Reese? No questions. All right, let's, I'm going to move that we approve of regular agenda items 1 through 3.
Second.
Commissioner Dreehouse?
Yes?
Commissioner Summer Dumas?
Yes.
Commissioner Reese?
Thank
you.
Thanks for your patience.
Welcome back.
MSD, yeah. Lauren DeGrazio is here for item number 4. Welcome.
Good afternoon. Just one item this afternoon. It is a resolution to approve the 2025 final revised assessments for sewer assessment projects that were completed in the last year. It is a small one this year. Just 2 owners for 2 projects will be assessed the standard $12,000 each, which can be paid up front over the next month or through their property taxes over the next 20 years. So if approved, we'll send out those invoices today. Both of these owners petitioned and supported the projects. We also gave them a heads up a couple months ago that this would be coming, so it should come as no surprise. So
Okay,
take any
great.
questions.
Great, thank you. Commissioner Summer Dumas?
I don't know why I thought it was a longer term to be able to pay for your assessment.
Maybe you're thinking of it's 40 semi-annual payments, so it is 40 payments, but over 20 years.
Okay, all right, thanks, that's all.
Commissioner Reese? I'm going to make a motion to approve of item number 4.
Second.
Commissioner Dreehouse?
Yes?
Commissioner Summer Dumas? Yes. Commissioner Reese?
Thank you. The administration has item number 5.
Thank you, Commissioners. I think Lisa Webb
Lisa
is
Webb
somewhere
is
behind the pillar.
on her way.
There she is.
Thank you, Commissioners. Yes, item number 5 is a consultant contract for the Children's Services Levy Review by the Tax Levy Review Committee. That contract is with Public Consulting Group, PCG, as they've been referred to in the past. They have actually conducted the last couple reviews of Job and Family Services, Children's Services Levy specifically, so they'll be able to come in with knowledge specifically of Hamilton County and Ohio systems. The amount of that award is $196,502. That is a little higher than past levy consulting agreements, but reflects the expanded scope for this review, the longer time period. And we are planning, the Tax Levy Committee, to get started with a first meeting on that levy review on July 9th.
And when will we hear from you regarding the mid-year review on the other levies?
Those have been rescheduled for July 29th, Leslie, is that correct? For the staff meeting.
Okay, yeah, I know that's impending, so.
Yes.
All right, very good, thank you. Commissioner Summer Dumas? No questions. Commissioner Reese?
Yeah, I have a question. Expanded scope, what are we expanding?
We wanted to make it, and I can share the scope with you. I have no issue with what we sent to the consultants, sorry. But I worked with the levy committee and actually worked with JFS as well to make sure that we were taking a very broad look at the levy and specific services within the levies, more focus on contracts for in-home care, and the trends we're seeing with that, as well as mandated versus non-mandated services within the levies, all to really take a wide look at all of the different things that are funded through the levy in making their recommendations. We also have 2 drafts planned for that levy to start sharing information with the hopes that the consultants, in working with the levy committee and JFS, can start to look at things that we can do to scope the levy as soon as October, November timeframe, so we could actually use that in the 26 budget planning as well.
Okay, I'd like to make sure, hopefully it's included. I had asked about it, but I got a couple calls in my office about it. They want to know, how did we go from $100 million excess in like December, and then we almost out of money. So hopefully that'll be in the consultant.
That is a key part of trying to explain what's happened and then what we're seeing for forecasting in the future as well. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to move that we approve of item number 5.
Second.
Commissioner Dreehouse?
Yes.
Commissioner Summer Dumas? Yes. Commissioner Reese?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Lisa. Let's move into the consent agenda.
Thank you, Commissioners. I'll walk through this briefly for you. Item number 6 is the auditor's statement of financial transactions for May of 25. Item number 7 is a resolution appointing a member to the Tax Levy Review Committee, Mr. Robert Barr. Item number 8 is a budget adjustment. There are 2 grants, I believe, in the Sheriff's Office, some state grants in the Sheriff's Office, as well as appropriating the Reconnecting Communities grant in planning and development that I believe the board has recently received a presentation on. Item number 9 is a resolution accepting and authorizing a then and now between with Common Pleas Court and Zoom Communications. Item number 10 is a resolution accepting and authorizing a then and now with adult probation. This is for $22,161 for their IVR system. Item number 11 is an agreement between Common Pleas Court and University of Cincinnati to help with a research and analysis on reducing recidivism at $419,947. Item number 12 is a resolution authorizing the purchase of 2 2024 Dodge Durangos in the Hamilton County Sheriff's Office, $63,860. Item number 13 is a resolution accepting sales tax for a purchase at River City at $16.59. Item number 14 is a resolution authorizing an agreement with Matrix Point Software for a case management system in the prosecutor's office at $1.536 million. Item number 15 is a resolution of intent to fund the collective bargaining agreement between the Hamilton County Board of County Commissioners and the FOP. This is waiving the G11 component of the Ohio Revised Code, as we typically do when we enter into negotiations with public safety units. Then we have some JFS items. We have the first item is the bid awards and contracts signed by the Hamilton County Department of Job and Family Services for March of 2025. That's at $66,499. We have a resolution for transportation services with Kemper Shuttle Service. We have a resolution with Easter Seals for the Benefit Bridge Program at $1.36 million. We have a resolution authorizing an amendment to an agreement with Talbert House for youth employment services. We have at $212,808. We have a resolution authorizing an award of an agreement with Barry Dunn, McNeil, and Parker LLC. This is for consulting services for JFS's strategic plan. Item number 21 is an agreement with SJO Kids for residential treatment services at $3.007 million. We have a resolution authorizing a sub-grant agreement with the Ohio Department of Job and Family Services for as part of the Workforce Investment and Opportunity Act. And then we have an agreement, a single source agreement between Job and Family Services and Amazing Grace Counseling and Addiction Services for group home services. Commissioners, all those items together total 2.3, 500, just over $6 million in total. The item number 24 is the report of no objections to 3 liquor permit applications from the sheriff, one in Sims Township, one in Sycamore Township, one in Coleraine Township. And that is your consent agenda, Commissioners.
All right, thank you, Jeff. Commissioners, any questions or comments? Commissioner Summer Dumas.
Well, the only question I had, Jeff, was item number 22, and I see that it's 0 on there, but I'm looking at all the things that are going to happen in that resolution, and why is it 0? I see there's a sub-grant agreement, so can you explain that?
I will defer to, I think I saw John Nelson
John's here.
in the
He's up
room, so
walking
John
out.
can walk us through that particular agreement.
Commissioners, good afternoon. John Nelson, Hamilton County Job and Family Services. So that is the federal agreement. So that is basically, that agreement allows us to receive those dollars. So so those are on a reimbursement basis. So as we start spending those dollars and we submit the paperwork to the state, we'll start getting those funds. So the agreement is $0 because we don't know how much we're going to get. It's going to depend on the work that we're doing.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Reese?
No questions.
All right, I'm going to move that we approve of consent agenda items 6 through 24.
Second.
Commissioner Dreehouse.
Yes.
Commissioner Summer Dumas.
Yes.
Commissioner Reese.
Yes.
All right, ladies, thank you. I'm going to make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Commissioner Dreehouse.
Yes.
Commissioner Summer Dumas.
Yes.
Commissioner Reese.
Yes.
Thank you.